No intro for this, just diving straight in. At first, Vancouver lined up in a 4-3-3 formation, but later transitioned into a 4-2-3-1 formation, while CF Montreal went with a 3-4-1-2. These were interesting choices, as Vancouver's formation had a miserable win rate of 12.5%, while Montreal's had a win rate of 37.5%. It's worth noting that Vancouver's undefeated rate with the 4-3-3 was 62.5%, while Montreal's undefeated rate with the 3-4-1-2 was 50%. My guess is that the Whitecaps were aiming to avoid losing first and foremost, considering this is a cup final. However, if Vancouver really were trying to avoid losing above all else, they sure didn't act that way. The Whitecaps pressed Montreal extremely well, holding true to their playstyle. Likely predicting this, Montreal probably went with a 3-man back line to keep their defense compact and hard to break. As a result, Montreal mostly resorted to long passes, and Vancouver applied lots of pressure but couldn't make anything happen. Right off the bat, Montreal keeper Sirois was carrying his team. There was that stunning save with his right foot, as well as him keeping out several dangerous shots. Had it not been for his heroics, Vancouver would have ended the game within the first 30 minutes. It wasn't all due to Sirois though, as Vancouver's attack was also extremely wasteful. I'll touch on this in more detail later, but there were many instances where the forwards had fantastic chances but either couldn't get to the ball, miscontrolled their first touch, or just sent a weak shot to the net. As a result, the first half ended goalless. The second half wasn't too different at first. Vancouver kept pressing and Sirois kept his team alive. Until... Oof. At this point, Vancouver seemed to get a huge morale boost. The attack continued to look dangerous, and the Montreal defense seemed to get nervous, eventually conceding a penalty that was scored in the 65th minute. By now, Vancouver were in a position to play defensively and see the game out. After the penalty, you could observe Montreal shift to an attacking mentality to try and equalize. To their credit, they did get one back by an error in the Whitecaps' defense, but just like his counterpart, Vancouver keeper Takaoka was always there to bail out the Whitecaps. He isn't a very tall keeper, but seems to be extremely comfortable with his feet, constantly playing long, accurate passes and not afraid to rush outfield if he has to. In that way, he resembles a sweeper keeper. I've watched 2 games involving right back Javane Brown now, and I've noticed a pattern. His positioning is amazing. He easily wins the ball back, he always makes fantastic interceptions, and his runs down the flank terrify opposing defenders. But when the time comes to cross the ball, the less said the better. Let's take a look at Brown's stats. His MLS defensive stats are very solid. He averages 1.5 tackles, 1.1 interceptions, 2.2 clearances, and has only dribbled past 0.6 times per game. Compare this with his left-sided counterpart, Louis Martin, who averages 1.9 tackles, 1.2 interceptions, 1.2 clearances, and has dribbled past 0.8 times per game. Brown's superior clearances and dribbled pass stats indicate that he is often defensively solid in areas where opponents are dangerous, but his passing stats are another story. Brown averages 0.6 key passes, 37.4 passes, 0.6 crosses, and 1.4 long balls per game. Compare this with Martin's 1 key pass, 44.2 passes, 1 cross, and 1.6 long balls per game, and the difference is apparent. Brown in a sense kind of reminds me of Wan-Bissaka, a fullback who often gets into good positions and defends well, but flubs their lines in attacking play. For the modern wingback and fullback, a lackluster attacking contribution just isn't sustainable. Hopefully he can improve on this aspect of his game. Back to Vancouver's wasteful problem. In the MLS, the Whitecaps have an average of 14.4 shots per game and roughly 1.59 goals per game, leading to a conversion rate of about 11%. In comparison, CF Montreal have 9.9 shots and 1.12 goals per game, leading to that same conversion rate. Contrast this with the Eastern Conference leaders FC Cincinnati with 12.1 shots per game, roughly 1.59 goals per game, and a conversion rate of 13%. It paints a telling picture. Both Whitecaps and Montreal are inefficient in front of goal, but since Vancouver created far more chances, they got the better of their Eastern-based rivals. Overall, it was a great win for Vancouver Whitecaps and a major boost to morale, but their lack of end product and in front of goal and lapses in defensive concentration near the end of the game need to be addressed. Otherwise, this just isn't sustainable. That's it for me for this video. Let me know if you'd like to see more content like this on my channel. If you do, I'd be happy to oblige.